Alright, here we go again, messing with the old Rhino. One of the things that we're going to fix is we're going to fix one of the oil leaks that this truck has, and there's various spots where the truck can be leaking from the reservoir, the H-pop, the ICP, the IPR. Just there's a lot of different spots, a lot of different locations that this truck can be leaking oil from: the rear main seal, front seal, oil cooler, the filter housing, different spots. And these trucks are kind of known to leak oil, and they say you don't have a real 7.3 if you don't leak oil. Well, I think I got a real 7.3 because it's leaking oil pretty good too. And everywhere I go, everywhere I park this truck is leaving pretty decent size oil stain, and I hate that with a passion because I'm trying to fix this truck up to where it's mechanically very sound. And whenever I had the transmission replaced or rebuilt, I had them replace the rear main seal, so I don't have to go through a bunch of that crap whenever I'm fixing these leaks. Well, the leak that I'm gonna fix today is coming from the oil cooler, and there's a few steps that we got to take before we take the oil cooler off. We have to drain the oil. After we drain the oil, we're supposed to loosen some nuts to let the coolant out. And we're actually supposed to let the coolant out from the radiator, from the whole engine first, before you start doing all that, because a lot does come out. And after you do all that, then you can start taking off the oil filter housing and the oil cooler itself. And we're gonna be replacing the gaskets and the rubber O-rings, because I know the O-rings, they're gonna be pretty brittle right now. You can get them, as soon as you squeeze them, they're gonna crumble up and break apart. And it's a 26-year-old truck, so you should expect stuff like that. It's just regular maintenance on this truck being so old. And so here we go. All right, underneath the truck now, you can see all the mess that it's made. Oil just everywhere. And lets me know that I had a pretty good leak. Look up there, it looks pretty nasty. Well, I'm gonna be cleaning that up here shortly. All right, well, here it is, the oil filter and the housing. And then here goes the oil cooler itself. This is the front driver's side, left side, bottom of the engine. That's where it's located. So we're gonna have to take off the housing for the filter and the oil cooler, which is that cylinder that looks like a pipe that's going to the front. That's actually your oil cooler. Alright, this oil pan, I'm gonna take 19mm to take it off. Oh, that's tight. And you're gonna make sure before you do all that, you're gonna make sure you have plenty of rags, because changing the oil on these things does get kind of messy if you do it right here at the house. I mean, if you do it perfect, of course you're not gonna get messy, but it will happen. All right, there you go. There she blows. Yeah, that's why you have a bucket, man, because it is pretty. There's a lot of oil coming out. Apologize for the background. These people thought it was cool to clean their yard right when I'm doing a video. Alright, kind of a helpful tip over here. Y'all see it's coming from the bottom. Basically, so whenever you unscrew the filter itself, it's gonna start leaking from the top. Basically, to make it a cleaner job, I poked a hole in the bottom. This one is trash, of course. We got a new one for it, because we are doing the oil change, as well as changing out the gaskets and stuff like that up there, and for the oil cooler. So just a tip on the more cleaner side, poke a hole on the bottom so you don't make no big old mess whenever you take the filter off. All right, then right here, this is a plug, a coolant plug. You're gonna use come on now, you're gonna use a 14mm right here at the at the coolant plug. You're gonna let it drain out into a bucket. All right, as soon as y'all start taking that nut off, the coolant nut, it's gonna start coming out. You could take it off all the way and it'll start coming out pretty good, but then it'll slow down. So what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to come to the radiator and take the radiator cap off so it'll have air to, you know, be able to circulate, so it could breathe better, so your coolant could come out a lot faster. If you don't, you're gonna be here a minute just waiting on all that coolant to come out. All right, right here, right here you can see there's one, there's two, there's three bolts that hold the the oil filter in place, oil filter housing in place, and those are going to be 10mm, but for some reason this one right here is a 12. So I don't know if somebody replaced this before or what. All right, y'all, here goes the oil cooler already off the truck. Y'all see it's still, of course, leaking oil, and just be careful where the oils are leaking everywhere at. Right here you have this little tongue right here where you can stick a flathead screwdriver and pry it out of the filter housing right here. We're gonna clean all this up. I know it's pretty nasty right now, but we are gonna clean it up before we put it in the truck and start messing with these rubber rings. All right, here it is, taking apart oil filter housing. That's where the oil filter goes, and this end goes right here. Oil cooler. Make sure you clean up real good whenever you're changing out these gaskets and these old rubber O-rings. Make sure that you clean it out real good, because if you leave it just a little bit dirty, of course, you know, you're doing this to fix the leaks. And if you don't clean it, clean. If you don't clean it good, there's not enough emphasis on cleaning it good. If you don't clean it good, then of course you're still gonna have a leak. Might not be major, but you'll have a small leak, and you'll leave little small dots, little small drips all over your driveway if you do not clean it right. All right, here it is. I already put the O-rings on, put some grease around it before I slip the O-rings on. Make sure you grease the O-rings also before you put it on, because you could possibly put like a little mark in it, and it won't, you know, you might get a leak later on, not sure. But so after you do that, you put the housing on. Make sure you see that groove right there. Make sure this slips on. Well, it goes in line with that, so you got to make sure that's the line. And you could grease the inside of the housing if you want. Believe it or not, that is pretty clean. It looks like it's still dirty, but that's very clean. Cleaned it out real good, as much as I could. And you can put some grease inside of here also and help, you know, put it on. But what you want to do is, when you put the housing on, you want to put it on with a rubber hammer. You do not want to hit this with a steel hammer. You will break it. Alright, here it is. We're greased up, cleaned up, ready to go back in the truck. Alright, what you got to do here, I would have it fitted all the way inside, but whenever you do it, it'd be good to use some kind of pry bar or something, and you go against the exhaust manifold and you angle it right, and you set it in. After that, everything's downhill, and we just set these bolts in, these three, and don't forget about your plug and filter housing. Then we'll fill it up with some oil. Alright, there goes old Rhino. I put all the coolant, all the oil in. Please don't forget those coolant plugs. Don't forget the oil plug. And man, been letting it sit and run for a while. No leaks. No more oil leaks. So old Rhino's back.